something there.
I want to say I really flabbergasted
Mm-hmm.
I
about
heard that word in a long time.
the obzocky in which the development of the whole the obzocky. I like to I like when I
I,
can I like to resort to my obzocky way. I
but
go
I
about
haven't heard those two words in ages. Flabbergasted and Obzoki.
about the Scotland district because I first of all let me say my DNA comes out of the Scotland district. My mother was from St Simons. My father was from Hillaby. So I have that in me. Apart from that, growing up, I used to go. I remember being going at my relatives in Hillaby and going to Turner's Hall Woods. Mr. Lewis, you remember the Boiling Spring?
Mm-hmm.
Ferdy, you know
Oh
Yes,
about the Boiling Spring,
yes, yes,
yeah.
right?
yes, yes, yes,
Which
yes, yes,
was supposed to be a natural
yes,
one, but really turned to be seepage of gas from the gas and oil exploration that was being done. So
yeah,
I'm familiar with that with St. Andrew that. But I grew up where Premier Cummings, Premier Adams, Cummings, Premier and Prime Minister Barrow, um, Prime Minister Tom Adams, Mr. St. John, Mr. Prime Minister Sandiford, Prime Minister Arthur, Prime Minister Thompson, Prime Minister Stewart, all had a healthy respect for the intricacies and the delicacies and sensitivity of the Scotland area. As a
hmm
matter of fact,
hmm
when it was Prime Minister Adams' person, I remember he commissioned a study on the Scotland district, out of which he then designated from Pico Tenerife to East Point as the national park.
The national park. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
from Pico Tenerife, that was an official
Official designation.
that's right,
yes,
right,
Mm-hmm.
and and all those but even before that, then we had the days of the Ministry of Agriculture. The Scotland district was treated specially. We used to go to Haggards and get fruit
yes,
trees and plant. Right,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Haggard, the Scotland district was a vital part of the Barbadian society. Now, bit by bit, it has been neglected. People don't seem to know what to do with it. Um, but so I'd like to ask the Prime Minister, on what basis did have what factors, scientific, whatever, that would have motivated you to allow the kind of development you're happening in the Scotland district, despite the designation by Prime Minister Tom Adams of not as a national park, therefore limited. I know of people who used to come to Barbados to try to just come with all kind of high technical variations to try to convince you that it'd be safe for them to develop houses on the sea and up the hill, as though it could defy nature. Nature will correct itself over 100,000 years from now, right? And all of them were turned down. Why on the beach side, on the land side? What therefore has changed? What does the Prime Minister know that none of those other the two Adams, Mr. Barrow, Dr. Cummings, David Thompson, that they said no to these developments? What has
yes,
happened?
yes.
What does she know that we don't know? That has say, well, let us do these things. Explain it. I
But
don't think I don't think it. I
Glenn,
don't. Yeah.
Glenn, I understand what you're talking about, because some years ago when we were representing a company out of North Carolina called Deltec Homes that did circular homes, we met with a gentleman who has, you called his name the other day, Victor. He had a massive, I think he's passed away now. He had a massive sandpit. When you are going down,
Ben, ben, Benjamin.
no,
Benjamin.
that
Not
don't
Benjamin.
sound familiar.
In Springfield.
Going out Springfield, yes, going out Springfield side,
Yes.
Oh, I think I
Mm-hmm.
know
going
what you
out
mean.
Springfield side, Victor,
Mm-hmm.
and we had talked with him back then because he was looking to do, because I think he owned some property on the East Coast too, above, or he owned the property above Barclays, like when you before you get to Barclays, all of that
Yeah, yeah.
hilly
Mm-hmm.
stuff up there. I think he
Right.
owned that or
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature. And
Mm-hmm.
what you were talking about, Glenn, was exactly what we
You,
ran into. That
you
that
remember?
designation.
Was his name Albert Ali?
Albert, that's correct. Albert
Albert
Ali.
Ali. I knew him from Barbados, and Our paths crossed
Yes.
when I was living in Canada. He
Yes.
came back to
Albert
Barbados with
Aline.
dreams of doing
Correct.
these things and
Yes.
so I'm saying,
Yes.
listen, there are peculiarities of nature that exist in the Scotland district that scientists and people have respected, cooperate, try to manage
Yes.
for hundreds of years. Science has not, there's a process in science and in your body too, known as homeostasis, where it seeks to get a perfect a balance, an equilibrium,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
It means that when you get sick, your inner body will try to fight off what is coming from outside in order to retain to reinstate the equilibrium. When you have earthquake, the earth is always seeking to adjust. If you touch, I'm sure Victor has spoken about it in the past with some developments up by 10 B1. If you disturb certain things, it will have a repercussion down the road
Yes.
for you. And these things have to be borne in mind. So I just want to know, I think our prime minister is, I think when I look at it, our prime minister is probably the least educated. I'm not talking about talking sweet, but the least educated formally. It cannot be an accident that Grady Adams, Eric Barrow, Mr. Cummings, all those, they all had substance, David Thompson, Mr. Sandy, Owen Arthur. And something seems to be missing in the makeup that prevents, there's a phrase in Julius Caesar where Brutus says, where Cassius says, speaking about Mar and me speaking about Caesar saying, on what doth this almighty Caesar feed that he's grown so mighty? In other words, he feels he's a MacGuffin, he feels he's supernatural, but he's an ordinary man like that. I am still trying to find out why the Prime Minister seems to have developed that she knows best for Barbados about everything,
Everything.
defying,
Mhm.
ignoring well established precedents and policies, like the changing of the water zone, like they decided to erect the geriatric hospital. I mean, there must be I has served us well in the past. So when you change the name from zone A to zone B, or from 1 to 2, it doesn't change nature. Nature, science will still operate. So I'm saying that we are, and I'm afraid that that is what is happening in Scotland district.
In the Scotland area.
It is not only that ONR has set up in order to give more formal structure to the handling of the Scotland district. There was a Scotland authority set up in 2000. There's a Scotland Authority Act passed in 2007 with a point of board and structure and to manage that whole process
I,
in the
I, I
same way we did with tourism, but it has never come. It doesn't seem to have come into full being yet.
That that flabbergasted. That's the word.
that
You know.
baffles you. That's another one. Baffled.
Why is it? Why is it? Why is it?
But
We have so many engineers in place, you know, and something of this nature could happen.
which brings me, Victor, if I may jump in
Yeah.
here.
Uh-huh.
I brings me back to the question of the Scotland District Authority Act, which was passed in 2007. The role of that authority, it will have the responsibility for the management and conservation of the Scotland District and to provide for related matters. And the Scotland District is not just St. John and St. Joseph or St. Andrews, also St. Thomas and St.
Mhm.
Peter, 5 parishes making the Scotland District. So I'm saying that what we are having this ramshackle peace days, somebody's corn. The work of the authority, from what I recall of it, was to coordinate, to oversee, to regulate, so that um, if that had been happening, if it had been in existence, if a project is on, because of the collaboration and these things where you repair a road and then you let heavy trucks destroy it, that would have been taken into account and that would have been factoring in before, during, and after. So I'm saying, my advice would be, I would like to see the residents of those 5 parishes agitate for the coming into being of the Scotland District Authority. I still do not know why it has. The act was passed in 2007, right? right?
Mm.
It outlines it along, giving all the details of his. I think you need to, in the same way there is there used to be a BIDC, in the same way you have um, Barbers Water Authority. This is a specialist area with unique features. I think you should advocate to your MP and others. All the MPs of the five related parishes, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, St. George, St. John, and St. Peter, to
Mm.
let them come together and collaborate and put pressure on their own selves to follow through and establishing in a proper meaningful manner. I don't even know if the act has been proclaimed.
Mm.
What is holding up? This is vital work. It has to be given. I believe in process and structure and order. You need to bring it rather than just I thought you compare, this, have it like you have a national development plan, you have a Scotland development plan, Scotland district development plan.
Mm.
Right? There
But
needs to be bring order to it.
But
you
That
all
would be
you
my
all you may you all may
yeah.
wonder what I've been looking at, because I am looking while you are talking. I am looking at a Google Maps of the areas you're speaking of, to see how they're interconnected. Because I think sometimes people don't realize how the network of roadways and whatnot operate within St. Andrew, St. Joseph, down in those hilly areas. And persons, Glyne may be familiar. You call it the Scotland District Act,
yeah.
but it was also referred to as the Soil Conservation, from what I'm seeing here,
That's way back.
Soil Conservation Act. Yeah, because it was
Way back.
enacted back in 1950 something or
Right,
something
way
like
back.
that, and
Yeah.
then it was upgraded in 1967, I think they said, or something like that. But the purpose, and it says that the Scotland District needed its own legislation because the area occupied about 20% of Barbados. It's unlike the rest of Barbados, which is flat limestone terrain. This area, listen to this. This is an international, Victor and
Mm.
Glyne. This area reveals ancient This is a big word here. Um, Silastic sediments,
Uh-huh.
including rocks 30 to 50 million years old, clay stone, siltstone,
Yep.
radiolarite, volcanic ash, and more. I mean, how can we be divesting in any way, shape, or form of? Is this covered by any kind of trust, like how Bridgetown is covered, Glyne?
The Scotland District Authority should do that. But I
Should
knew
okay.
I have an appreciation for this because I did physical geography at Combermere. So
Hmm.
we learned the whole world is interconnected. What we're hearing about climate change or what seems to be climate change is just an episode in the history of the world. There was a time when we had an ice age, when most of the world was covered in ice. And that same ice, when it melted, grooved out the valleys and
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
different.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so the
yeah.
earth is always changing and adapting and adjusting. And it's interconnected. So when you like playing draft, touch one, it has an impact who else is on the board. It's all
Mhm.
interconnected. So I'm saying that a fresh approach. I do not understand why an act could have been passed in 2007 and it's taken there's 80 years now across two administrations and nothing has been done to bring it into fruition. It would save us a lot of hassle and confusion. We would have more respect for the environment. We have greater faith in the future patrimony of Barbados. It would mean that it would be people, what's happening at 10B and happening at 10B and the bowl, what I call it, the bowl now, teacup and saucer. Those things
Mm.
Oh yeah,
should
yeah.
not have
Teacup and
because it's
saucer.
regulated and
Hmm.
supervised and there's law
Yeah, that's
currently
what I'm
right now.
seeing.
Mm.
What we are having, I think I heard Victor hinted at last night when he talked about, he's not a Peter. But I, for a long time, been hearing about persons, non-Barbadians too, with money, who have come to Barbados, done well in the business world, etc., but have so insinuated themselves into the system that they either feel or they could or they're getting what
Mm.
they think they can get. Not only
Yeah,
that,
Mm.
yeah.
remember, I've made frequent references to the document that came out in Barbados, inviting foreign investment, direct foreign investment in Barbados. on page 2 or 3 of it says, when you talk about the new planning and development act, the prime minister says, and this is the philosophy that guides all you see is happening. He says that, tell a summary, when you apply, you apply with a presumption in favor of development. And that way you are
Yes,
virtually
yes.
assured that you will get approval.
Of the age. I mean, you're talking about rocks 30 to 50 million years old. It makes you wonder. In some countries, in other words, boy, they won't let you go anywhere around this. This would be one massive tourism attraction.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for the a couple of things. I first learned the word gabion when I was a little boy reading the advocate. I saw this picture of these were mesh in the
Yes, yes,
paper, and they were explaining that this was the work. I was probably about 7 or so years old. That's when I first learned about Scotland district and land
yes,
slippage,
yes,
like
yes.
soil conservation. So that
Yeah,
always stuck with me. But it seems to me that not only with that, and for a number of years, because you cannot stop the land slippage because some of the land is impervious to water, that the clay, the
yes.
water does not, so it will move. So you have to learn to manage it, respect it, accommodate it, let
Work
accommodate you,
with it.
etc. Work with it. It seems to
Yes,
me that we did a fairly good job, maybe
yes.
fixing over the years when they had the Scotland, when you had the Scotland Conservation Unit and the Ministry of Agriculture, local person. You talk about the chief town planner. One of the chief town planners
Yeah,
was Luther Bourne. It's
yes.
an
I
Andrew
remember Luther.
man.
Yes,
So
yes.
Mhm.
I
he
remember
had the
Luther.
affinity to the
I remember Luther
naturally,
born.
right? So
Yes.
he was born in the area. He
Mhm.
would know
He
it,
used to.
he would have
He,
an appreciation for it. But
he
when
used to
I
work with my father. Used to work with him, Glyne.
okay, all right.
Yes,
So I'm
yes.
saying that how comes that for many, even the building, many of those bridges which are now are declined, built with limited local expertise or with a little outside help from England through the colonial
Yeah,
system, whatever.
yeah,
But a lot
yeah.
of local knowledge went into, and they lasted for
For
100 years. Right?
years.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
how come all of a sudden now we can't do it anymore? How comes we
I
have to, with all due respect to the Chinese, who are brilliant people who have a long history, they are a lot invested, but they cannot, the local, there used to be a notice I read in the Economist magazine years ago. It says, never underestimate the importance of local knowledge.
yes.
Never, and so no matter how brilliant they come from Peking or Beijing, we call it, they cannot know more than well-informed people in Barbados are the residents observing work. So how is it that we could have done for so many years and survived and did fairly well, and all of a sudden everything has to become the Chinese? We
Everything.
don't know anything. We don't have any self-respect anymore with our expertise. We don't fight. What has happened to that system, that attitude? Maybe Victor can help me understand that because
You know,
But
I'm like you.
I'm
I'm like you know, Glenn. I learned about this Gibeon as a child too, 'cause my dad used to be one of the people involved in making them.
Mhm.
I used to watch him and a team, and my dad was not an engineer. He eventually went over into the sugar industry and spent a lot of time in Haggott's and Andrew's factory coming from Guinea. As a matter of fact, he was a engineer. He was involved in the sugar industry even before he went with the Ministry of Communication and Works and built a lot of those bridges down in Sinai. You all remember all the floods you used to have down there and how the
yeah.
rivers used to overrun the roads and all of that kind of stuff. My dad helped to build the facilities that would allow the
You,
water to go under the road and not over, because there came a point where some of the roads were impassable because of the amount of water.
so what happened? What happened with this as a what happened with this as a country? That
Victor,
all
what happened?
that meant that local expertise and knowledge, ability to do things have been replaced by outsiders.
Mr.
Huh?
Murray, you can recall what happened in Greenland when local knowledge was ignored.
I can talk about that.
Right.
I
You
have a
know,
lot to say about one of these days. I can talk. One I was part of the person who were
uh,
misled. I
uh-huh.
admit, I confess that I was misled.
Mhm.
All right. I will speak about that. I have that on my list of things to speak about one of these days. That
Mhm.
Greenland project. All right. We were badly misled. We trusted people and we were in the finance, we were misled. because there was some hanky panky going on in the background that we only found out afterwards.
Mhm.